This is the ECOFLOW WAVE 3 portable air conditioner. It is the first portable unit I have used that can cool a sun-baked van fast, then flip to heat when the night turns cold, without feeling like a compromise in either direction. I think of it as a portable climate system for small, contained spaces. It makes the most sense for anyone who spends time in a camper van, a recreational vehicle, a tent, a small studio, or a home office where a window unit would be awkward or a permanent installation is not an option. That is where it shines. If I need a quick blast of cold air after parking in the sun, or a burst of warmth on a chilly morning, it handles both in a way that feels instant and practical. The design looks modern, but what matters to me day to day is how it is built to move and set up without fuss. The carry handle is truly solid and the balance is right, so I can lift it and pivot it into tight spaces without wrestling. It is around 34 pounds, which is not feather light, but the handle and the shape make it manageable. The footprint is compact enough to sit between the front seats of my van or tuck under a desk in my small office. The front vent has a light bar that changes color depending on mode. Blue for cooling, orange for heating. It sounds like a small thing, but when I walk back to the room I can tell what it is doing at a glance. Intake and exhaust hoses snap on securely. The filters slide out for cleaning without tools. And there is a dedicated drain point with an included tube so I can route condensation to a bottle or a floor drain. The optional battery attaches cleanly and feels like it was designed with this exact unit in mind rather than a generic add-on. Setup is straightforward. I connected the two hoses, set the window plate in place, and pressed and held the power control on the unit. The interface is clear, with the main modes easy to reach: cooling, heating, fan only, and dehumidifier. I paired it with the ECOFLOW mobile application, and that is where it really clicked for me. From my phone, I can set the target temperature, schedule it to start before I get back to the van, switch modes, and check how much energy it is pulling. I like that I can hear the compressor spin up within a moment or two of tapping the command. It reacts quickly, and the transitions between wall power and the battery are basically seamless. I can unplug it and it does not skip a beat. Performance is where my week of use either makes or breaks a product like this. The cooling output is rated at 6,100 British thermal units, and that translated in real life. In my van after parking in direct sun, I watched the cabin temperature drop roughly 15 degrees Fahrenheit in around 15 minutes. The shift is not just on a thermometer. You feel the humidity drop and the air moving with good force. On the heating side, it pushes 6,800 British thermal units. When I measured at the vent, the air climbed past 120 degrees Fahrenheit fast, which is exactly what I want when I wake up to a cold interior and want it comfortable without running a big heater. It does not pretend to heat a full house. It is about fast, localized comfort. Noise rarely gets mentioned honestly, but it matters when I try to sleep next to a machine. In sleep mode, it hovers around 44 decibels. In real terms, I could fall asleep with it running a few feet away. With the fan up and the compressor working hard, it climbs toward the high 50s in decibels, which is more like a box fan on high. Not silent, not harsh. The tonality is steady, so it fades into the background once I am used to it. The dehumidifier mode is surprisingly helpful. After a rainy night in a tent, the air gets sticky. I set it to dehumidify and let it run while I made breakfast. It quietly pulled moisture out, and draining with the tube is simple. For small living spaces, being able to pull out humidity without dropping the temperature too low is a real quality of life thing. It keeps bedding and clothes from feeling damp. I tested the add-on battery because true portability matters when I am off-grid. With light to moderate cooling, I saw up to about 8 hours of use, which lines up with the claim. If I ran full cooling under harsh sun or kept it in heating mode for long stretches, the battery drained faster. That is expected. I learned to think of the battery as a way to bridge peak heat or cold rather than a full-day power source. Charging from a wall outlet took roughly 75 minutes to go from low to full, and I appreciate that I can top it up either at home before a trip or from a vehicle outlet while driving. Switching from wall to battery and back is instant and does not require me to restart anything. One of my first tests was a hot afternoon at the beach. I came back to the van where the cabin had turned into an oven. I set the exhaust hose out the window plate, tapped cooling in the mobile application, and waited. The first blast of cold air felt strong, and within that 15-minute window, the cabin moved into a comfortable range. I then tried it in my small office, which is around 120 square feet. There, it held a steady temperature without cycling constantly, which tells me the compressor and sensor logic are well tuned. Later, I brought it to my garage with the big door open. That is an unfair test for any portable air conditioner. As expected, it struggled because I was basically trying to cool the outdoors. That was a good reminder to use it in spaces where the air is contained. I also used dehumidifier mode after a storm when my tent gear felt damp. It kept the space from turning musty, and I did not wake up sticky. A specific use case that sold me on it was cold mornings in the van. I do not want to wait around while a big heater warms the entire vehicle. I set the Wave 3 to heat while I brewed coffee. The vent air jumps to toasty temperatures fast, and the area where I sit becomes comfortable in a few minutes. Another use was late afternoon in a home office with western windows. Instead of running the home system, I set the Wave 3 to cool that one room for a couple of hours. It handled it without blasting too loud. Sleep mode is gentle enough that I could nap on the couch with it running. And when the power blinked during a storm, the battery kept it going, which is a nice safety net during a heat wave night. There are a few smart touches that improve daily use. The ECOFLOW mobile application is clean and stable. I set schedules so the unit kicks on before I return to a hot vehicle. Energy use tracking is there, and it is useful for understanding how different modes draw power. Pet care mode can turn the unit on if the space gets too hot. I treat that as a backup and not a guarantee. I would never rely on any machine to keep a pet safe in a parked vehicle under hot sun, but as a safety layer, it is thoughtful. The refrigerant is a propane-based blend with a lower environmental impact than older chemicals, which is good to see in a portable product meant for outdoor and travel use. The overall build feels durable. The plastics do not creak, the panel gaps are tight, and the handle does not flex when I lift it. There are trade-offs. The battery is heavy, and while it unlocks true portability, it adds weight to any carry. In a big open garage or a living room with lots of leaks and open doors, it will not keep up. That is just physics with a portable air conditioner at this output. If I run full blast cooling or long heating sessions, I plan for a shorter battery window or bring away to recharge. I also needed to be mindful of managing condensation in humid weather. The drain tube solves that, but it is one more thing to route correctly. What I appreciate most is that the Wave 3 does what it claims without drama. It cools quickly in small spaces, heats fast when I need a warm spot, and dries out damp air in a way that makes camping and van life more comfortable. It is easy to set up, fast to respond, and simple to control from the front panel or from the phone. If you live or travel in small, insulated spaces, if you want targeted comfort without installing a permanent unit, if you need a portable solution that can run from a wall or from a battery, this is the one I would consider. If you are trying to condition a huge space or a very leaky room, or you need whisper quiet at maximum output, you will want to manage expectations or look at a different approach. For my use, the balance of portability, real cooling and heating power, and a clean mobile application is exactly what I need. It kept my van livable on hot days. It warmed my small office on cold mornings. It handled humidity after rain. And it did those things with a straightforward setup and a design built for being moved and used, not just spec sheet bragging rights. You can view detailed information about the ECOFLOW Wave 3 portable air conditioner in the comments section. Thank you for watching.